So 3 days ago, Adobe released an update to its Creative Cloud, and one of the updates are for Lightroom and Camera Raw engine. And in this quick fix, I'm gonna show you what I like about this update. I'm not gonna teach you anything. I'm just gonna show you the updates. If you know Lightroom, you will be able to implement it right away. If you don't know Lightroom, I have a pretty good course free of charge you can use. The link is in the description. So right when you start working in Lightroom, you will notice it is a little faster. It responds better, you know, when you go between files and you use the brush tool or something, you know, it is better, it is faster. But one of the major updates for me is here. We always had these hue sliders here where you can change individual colors. The problem with this, it is always global. You know, if you change, you're changing everywhere in the photo. But what has to those tools like a gradient tool, the radial filter, and the brush, we now have this hue slider here, which basically does the same, but within a masked area. So if I move this somewhat, and you can see, I can locally change the hue and the saturation of it, not always globally. Sometimes we had to go to Photoshop just be able to do that, so now we don't. Other changes that I noticed is the curve tool. It's the same, but it just looks better. It makes more sense, especially if you're new to editing. You see the color, which if you go here between the red, green, and blue colors, and the opposite of blue is always yellow, and not everybody knows this, so here you have it visual. It's nice. It helps. Another thing I like is there's a new feature in export they call batch export, which means, for example, I want to export this photo to Facebook. I have all the settings here. Now it's grayed out because it is preset. And I also want to make a copy for a high-res copy for my print gallery. Then I just choose both. And as much as I want, then I just choose batch export. Here Lightroom just asks you where you want to put it. And then you choose export, and you will have a copy in each folder with the settings, with each settings you selected. Another really cool feature I noticed in this update is adaptive ISO, which basically means that here I have a file with ISO 100. Here I have a file with ISO 800. So sometimes when I make presets to a file, I don't include the ISO, the noise reduction, because it's always different depending on the ISO. So what you can do now is you can select. You have to select two files. I select the one with a low and one with a high ISO. So I select this one, which is 100. I select also, not all, but this and this. 100 and 800 ISO. I go create a preset. Everything is the same except for this checkbox here, create ISO adaptive presets. And what it will do, it will apply all those changes like it always does, but it will also apply the noise reductions, but dependent on how much ISO the file has. So if you have a file with a low ISO and no noise reduction, it doesn't apply any noise reduction. But if you have a high ISO file which needs a lot of noise reduction, you apply a lot, and then it calculates everything between and over depending on the value you gave it. And finally, what I noticed is if you watched my last video, you saw we were talking about these crop overlays here. If you go to Tools, Crop Guide Overlay, there's a few crop guide overlays. Yeah, like here's the rule of thirds, and then we have diagonal, and they added this crop overlay. So that's it for this quick fix. I hope you enjoyed it and took something from it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.